To start off this video, I guess I'll just say that um, if you are going through a miscarriage right now, or you've just found out that you're going to be experiencing one, I want you to know that I pray for you every single day. I'm gonna try to just tell my story so that it will help at least one person, because I know that when this was happening to me, I immediately went to other women who I didn't personally know, but I was able to find through YouTube or Instagram or forums online. If I just Googled what I was going through, and I was able to find tons of different websites that I'm sure you've probably looked at as well. But I just want to share, and hopefully it'll help you. So I'm just gonna start out with what happened on March 4th. My husband and I found out that we were expecting, and we were so excited. We told everybody right away. We told our immediate family the very same day. We couldn't wait. Well, we were never gonna wait. We were so excited. We immediately started planning on how to tell everybody else, like our extended family, our aunts and uncles and grandparents and brothers and sisters. And so we told everybody. We had 2 appointments. We had 2 ultrasounds that we got to get pictures from, and we got to see the little flickering heartbeat. We got to see that at 7.5 weeks and 8 weeks. And the reason why the appointments were so close together was because in between the 7.5, or after my first 7.5 week appointment, I actually started bleeding a lot, and it ended up being fine because it just was like my cervix was bleeding from I had really bad allergies, and I was constantly sneezing, and I think the doctor said that can like make your cervix bleed. Also, the ultrasounds that they do when you're that early are the transvaginal ultrasound, so they stick like this long rod up your vagina, and I think that kind of like irritated it, I guess, and so it was bleeding from that, but it ended up being no big deal, and we got to see our baby twice within like a week, so that was really cool. So we got those 2 appointments. We told everybody else. We told the rest of our family, and we were just waiting for our 12-week ultrasound to get the pictures, to get the screen prints from that to use in our announcement photos. So it was, I think I was supposed to be 11 weeks and 4 days. It was on Tuesday, April 25th. It was a 1:30 appointment. I had class that morning, and I remember Ethan, my husband, had texted me when he was ready to pick me up from class. He said, oh, I got out of class early. I'm going to come pick you up. And I remember texting him, like, okay, I'm so excited. But what I wanted to say was, okay, let's go see our baby, because I was so excited to go see her. But I didn't text that because I didn't want to be texting in class. But anyway, so we went to the appointment. We waited in the waiting room. We got called back. And the doctor, she was so nice. She'd already seen us twice before. Really friendly OBGYN, and she said, let's see your baby. Let's see if everything's okay. So since we'd already had the 2 transvaginal ones, I was now like far along enough to do the stomach ultrasound, which is like what you usually see in movies. And so she puts the gel on, and she does the stomach one, and she's kind of looking around, and she can't really see much. It's kind of, I personally can't really tell what she sees anyway usually until she points it out to me, but I couldn't really see exactly like the baby. And she goes, well, that's fine. Let's just do the transvaginal one again. And I said, okay. And I was like a little worried, but not too bad. And so so then she does the transvaginal one, and Ethan's on my left, and he's holding my hand, and she sticks it up there, and we see the baby. But the very first thing I noticed was the baby was not on its back, if that makes sense. So in all the other ultrasounds we had got, or the two previous ones that we had seen, but all the separate, angles she had shown us, the baby was always on its back, and you could see like the face and like the little body. You could see the hands and the feet. You couldn't exactly see like toes or anything like that, but you could clearly see that the baby was laying on its back. And this particular time, it looked like the baby was like laying on its stomach, on chest, on, and that kind of, I looked at it kind of like, oh, that's weird. But I didn't say anything. I didn't think really much about it. And she says, she goes, so I don't see a heartbeat. And she keeps, going all around. And when she said those words, it's like I knew and I understood what was happening, but I didn't believe her. Or I thought there's just no way this is happening to me right now. And she says, or I think we just stared at her because we didn't understand. Ethan's holding my hand, and I saw him look down at me, and I couldn't look up, and I asked her, I said, are you sure? And she goes, this baby is measuring about 10 weeks, and I was supposed to be about 12. So then Ethan starts squeezing my hand, and she says, I'm really sorry. And she starts taking all these pictures, clicking pictures, and she prints out a lot. And she takes out the this long rod for the ultrasound, and she says, she basically tells us that we need to confirm it, but that she's pretty sure, and that she'll send me to another ultrasound technician down the, like, next door to her. And she kind of gave us some privacy. And I just remember, because I was laying down on my back, and I just remember Ethan coming down and hugging me, and we just cried and cried and cried and cried, because it just didn't seem real. When you get that kind of news, it's not, first of all, you don't expect it. Second of all, it's obviously not what you wanted to hear. So, I put my shorts back on, and she came in, and she said, here's like an envelope full of all the pictures she had just printed out, and I'm sure a bunch of other papers in there. She goes, go down next door and you can get your ultrasound technician to confirm it. So we go down there, ultrasound tech confirms it, and I'll just never forget the hug that she gave me afterwards. She was so sweet. She hugged me and she goes, it's not your fault. So I'd called my mom, and she came straight over. She sat with us, while the ultrasound tech confirmed it. And then we had to go back to the OBGYN to make sure that after the tech confirmed it, they could tell us what to do. So, so she tells us, you have 3 options. One, you can wait until your body miscarries naturally, which clearly what I had was called a missed miscarriage, because the baby had already passed away, but my body didn't recognize it for a week and a half. Well, actually, the ultrasound tech had found out that the baby was actually not yet 10 weeks. It was about 9.5 weeks, so it was almost 2 weeks that my body had no idea. And so she says, you can wait to miscarry naturally, which she goes, your body hasn't done that yet, so we really have no idea how long it'll take. She said, you can go home and take this medicine. It's called misoprostol or Cytotec, and it will cause your body to miscarry the baby. Or my third option was to come back in, and they would put me to sleep for a little bit, and they would remove the baby, through surgery. And I remember thinking, I don't know how I'm gonna make it through any amount of time, whether it's a day or whether it's a week or 2 weeks, however long it's gonna take to happen naturally. I don't know that I'll make it that long. So I wasn't really thinking about it. I wasn't really thinking about that option. I didn't want to go home and cause it to happen, with the medicine, because how can you pick a good time, because I could choose when I wanted to take the medicine. And I didn't want to do the surgery because to me it kind of sounded more like an abortion, even though my baby was already dead. I don't know, it just sounded a lot more graphic than I wanted the process to be. So I told her, why don't you go ahead and write me the prescription for the medicine, and I'll think about it, because I don't know what to do right now. If it happens naturally, then it happens naturally, but I don't really know what to do, so just let me go home and think about it. So we went home that day. And of course, it's early afternoon. And I remember the drive home. I had such an intense headache. I couldn't open my eyes. First of all, they were swollen from all the crying. And then just light hurt my eyes. I just wanted to close them forever. I just kept holding my stomach, while I knew that my baby was still in there. So we went home, we closed all the blinds, and we just cried ourselves to sleep. And that very first time you wake up after a miscarriage, your mind is so confused because, for the past however many months, 3 months, every morning you wake up, you're excited because you have a baby growing inside of you. And this is the very first time you have to wake up and know that all that's gone. So I think we slept for a little bit, and then we woke up probably, later on that night. We went through boxes and boxes and boxes of tissues. And I remember I told Ethan, I said, I don't know what to do because the pain, it hurts so bad. I just want to go to sleep, and I don't want to wake up, but yet I want to feel it. I want to feel this pain because I don't know, it felt so unreal. The thought was so unreal. I had to feel the pain to know that it was real, to really understand what was going on, because I kept getting confused. I really did, and I kept thinking it was just a bad dream. And I remember I told him, you have to put the TV on because I can't, I don't know what to do. I literally just wanted to die. I didn't want to be without her anymore. So we always had thought it was a girl, and sometimes I would tell myself, oh, I think it's a boy, but I knew, I had a pretty good feeling it was a girl, and so did Ethan. So we decided to name her Evelyn. We thought, since we thought it was a girl, we decided to name her Evelyn Bow. That's what we would have named her if she had been born a girl, so. I told Ethan I can't live without her. I don't know what to do, you know? But, so then that was a Tuesday. And, meanwhile, this is late April. I still have about 2 weeks left of school. We stopped going to school. You know, the next day, I don't even remember what we did. I think for weeks we just laid in bed and cried with all the blinds shut. So then Wednesday, my mom came over. She'd been coming over daily anyway, but Wednesday my mom came over. And I remember she came over about 10 o'clock or maybe 9 o'clock at night. And I opened the door, and I had been kind of feeling some light cramps. Low, but not too bad. But I remember I opened the door to her, and I just felt something drop. And I had already been wearing pads, obviously, because I knew that it was going to start soon, probably. So it took about not even 36 hours from the time that we got the news to the time I started miscarrying. I guess my body just, really, knew after that. But honestly, to think that my body held on for 2 weeks. That just makes me think that, it did not want to give her up. So like I said, at 10 o'clock, that first clot came out in the toilet. And since I knew, this is something that's kind of important, since I knew it was going to be happening soon, or I assumed it would, I had a few glass containers ready next to the toilet in the bathroom, just in case she should come out, or I don't know. I didn't know what it was going to look like, what was going to happen, if it was all going to happen at once or what. So I had a container next to me ready, a large container. And so the first clot that came out, I saved it. I put it right away in the container, and I just kept the container next to me. And I was cramping lightly, maybe first day of your period. And then I went back into the living room, and I told my mom and my husband, and we were just waiting. Then about 2 hours later, maybe an hour later, I passed another clot. And when I say clot, I mean these are not small clots. These are at least for as far along as I was at 12 weeks, these clots were probably about this big. And they're very tissuey, not like blow your nose tissue, but body tissue. They're incredibly bloody. And I'm sorry if this is graphic for you, but miscarriage is very graphic. They're very bloody. And they hurt. It hurts when it reaches the I guess the exit or entrance of the cervix. So when it if this is your uterus, and then when it reaches the cervix over here, when it finally passes through, it's painful. And so you'll know when it's a clot versus just blood, which that comes out as well too. It just falls out of you like a waterfall. So I think I'm not sure exactly how long in between, but I think I passed 2 more really large clots within the next 3 hours or so. And then my mom went home, and it was just me and Ethan, and we were waiting. And then at 2, I felt this. I was laying on the bed, and I had towels everywhere because it was so bloody. I had towels on the bed, in the bathroom, everywhere. So I was laying down and oh my gosh, the cramps. And I hadn't had time to pick up my pain medication yet. But it's it's nothing like period cramps. It's completely different. So I'm laying in bed and it starts cramping intensely, and this was not even yet the worst of it, but it was awful. And so I run to the bathroom, and I had continuously put my hands down, and I was ready to catch anything that came out. And I just remember I wasn't quick enough, and I heard one small thing fall, and then I put my hands down immediately, and I felt her little body fall into my hand. Immediately I put it in the bowl, or I think I had told Ethan to grab me a separate bowl, like a separate container. I told him to grab me a separate one because my first one was just full of blood. So I put it in the second one, and the first thing I noticed was something didn't look right. I could see all 10 fingers and all 10 toes. I could see, her little body, like her chest and her legs and her arms and everything. And I could even see her little heart. It was like outside of her body, kind of, if that makes sense. Or maybe her skin was just so clear that like it was like kind of like bulging through. But I mean, it's very clear. But something didn't look right, and so I kind of looked and I thought, where's the head? And so I think that first the initial drop that I missed was that. And I wasn't about to, flush that down the toilet. So I went into the toilet and I found it. And I put it with I put it together. And we held her in our hands for a little bit. And we cried. And as much as I hate thinking about it, I love that we got to hold her in our hands, and that we got to, see her, and that we even have a picture of her, because now I've got nothing. I don't have a baby to hold anymore, and sometimes it feels more like my imagination, or like a memory, or like, who am I talking about that I miss so much? Where is she? And I have to remember, no, she was a real person. She had all her fingers and all her toes, and so then that was at 2:13, I think, is when she passed through, that I was able to catch her. So then I think we had gone to bed after that. Cried myself to sleep. There's nothing you can do. And we had laid towels upon towels down on the bed, and thank goodness, because I slept I must have gone to bed then at like around 3:30 or 4. That's when I went to bed, because I slept for an hour, and when I woke up at 5, my entire pants, first of all, the pad that I was wearing, which was a maxi pad, and I had put it on right before I went to bed, so I had 1 hour in this pad, and it had completely soaked through. My underwear were completely soaked through, and my pants, my pajama bottoms, were completely soaked through. And the towel that I was laying on. Everything was, and it's so hard to grasp that much blood, but that's what, yeah. So I'm bleeding through everything. I run to the bathroom to go change everything, and At this point, this is when the worst pain of my entire life hit. The only way I can explain the feeling is it felt to me like somebody had taken a stick or like a long rod or something and put it up in my body this way. Somehow they put it in this way, and then I felt like there was like they were able to pull on it. There was a string, and they were constantly pulling, and it was just taking everything with it in my body. That's honestly what it feels like. It feels like someone's yanking on everything in there. So I pull down my pants so I can obviously change everything. And at this point, this is when this intense pain hits. And I'm not even kidding you, probably about this big, falls out of in between my legs, and it lands in my underwear, and it's gigantic, and it's what we later learned was the placenta. This is at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I won't stop bleeding. And so we're freaking out. My husband calls the EMT. They come and get me. They take me to the hospital. I asked them to save the placenta because I wanted everything to be together. I wanted Bo to be like, I wanted to have her. I wanted to have everything that was in there. I wanted to have the placenta. I wanted to have everything because we eventually were going to have her cremated. And I want everything together. So they were able to save that for me, but there was still quite a bit of bleeding, and so they just kept watch on me because it was more than a pad an hour, and you're not supposed to be bleeding that much. So they also do a number of tests on you, and we were there they do like ultrasounds and a bunch of other things. We were there from 5 until noon, so about 7 hours we were there at the hospital. And because I'm not sure exactly why my body did this, but it wouldn't, like, it was bleeding a lot, but then once it got to the end of the cervix, it would just clot. And then it would all come out in clots. And then it would bleed, and it was supposed to just be, like, by now, just kind of more bleeding. And so the doctor, I remember he came in to do, he, like, does the machine, like, the little, like, spreader thing. It's kind of like a pap smear, And I remember he just kept grabbing things over and over and over again. And, he was cleaning everything out. And he said that as he was grabbing things, more things were coming out. And he wasn't quick enough. And so he said, we need to watch you for a little bit longer because blah, blah, blah. So like I said, they finally released us about noon. I went home. This was on Thursday the 27th. I went home and had to keep wearing a pad. They continuously sent me into not the doctor's office, but like a blood lab so that they could test my HCG levels to make sure everything was, obviously still going down. The HCG is not supposed to be up anymore at all because they had said that, well, obviously it's not supposed to be up, but they had said that some women's body, like, will grab a hold of, like, whatever's left in there and try to, increase their HCG levels, and that's obviously not what we want. Also, we wanted to make sure everything was clean everything was out because, obviously all that old blood in there could cause infection. Like, anything can happen. So you need to make sure that everything's done. And I remember the doctor telling me that it should take about 2 to 4 weeks. That's how long some women bleed. And I remember thinking, how am I supposed to have this daily reminder for 2 to 4 weeks? What am I supposed to do every single day for 2 to 4 weeks? On top of the loss, how am I supposed to have this? And so I just bled continuously. And I was still clotting sometimes, and I was still, like, bleeding like a normal period, but it's not a period. And so my HCG levels were going down. I remember after the first week, they were at 89, which is obviously not 0, so you need to keep going. Then we waited a whole week, and the second week they were at 39. And then the next week after that, they were at 13. And now I am currently 5 weeks out post miscarriage. And I haven't, it was like Memorial Day weekend and stuff, and I haven't had a chance to go get my blood tested, this last time to make sure that it went all the way down to 0. But I finally finished my bleeding last Tuesday, and today's the 30th, so I finally finished my bleeding on May 23rd, I think. On May 23rd was the last day I bled. I haven't bled since anything. So my entire miscarriage took 4 weeks long. That's exactly how long it took. Now that the physical aspects are over, the emotional, there's not as much of a daily reminder, which is I'm thankful for, but it's confusing because you don't want to be reminded every single day, and yet you do, because that's your baby, Who wants to forget? You don't want to forget your baby. It's so conflicting because you don't want to think about it, and yet it's all you can think about, and it's all you want to think about. It's just hard. We haven't had Bo cremated yet because nobody will do it. She weighs way too little. She's not heavy enough. And here in Texas, you have to have a certain weight at death, and she doesn't weigh enough. So we don't know what to do. We have her stored. We have everything stored in a freezer, and we're just waiting until we can have done what we want to have done. We don't want to bury her because we don't plan on living here in Texas forever. And there's nowhere I could go. Where could I go that I could visit her often or remember her often? And I've read other moms do a memorial garden, but I'm not really a gardener. I don't do that. And again, where would I put this garden? So we've decided we're not going to give up, and we are going to have her cremated. We already have her urn. But I guess we're just still waiting to find somebody that will do it for us. But you have to get paperwork from the doctors and from your OBGYN and everything, which is hard for me because I miscarried at home. I didn't miscarry in the hospital. They don't have paperwork for me. But we know that our baby is in heaven, and we know that she's much happier there than she ever was here. And we know that she didn't feel any pain when she died, and that she never knew sadness, and she still doesn't know sadness. She doesn't know that I cry for her every day. She doesn't know any of that, so it's nice to think about because I know I'll see her again. And I know through all of this, my faith and trust in God has just been stronger because I know that no matter what, God is faithful and He is good. And even if we never get another baby ever in our life, we had her. If you have just gone through a miscarriage or are about to go through one, I know that it's never what you want to hear, but I promise everything's gonna be okay. I think I want to do some more videos on just dealing with miscarriage. Maybe if you personally haven't gone through one, but you know somebody who has, how to help them through it, how to let them heal. I mean, everyone's different, but there are certain things that you have to let them do, and how to talk to them, because there are a lot of things that people have said to me over the past 5 weeks that just, and maybe they think they're helping, but they're not, and so I just don't want anyone else to have to hear those things. But I want to thank you guys so much for listening to my story. I hope it at least helps one person, one person understand that everything's still gonna be okay. It's not gonna go back to normal. You'll have a new normal, and that there's that God still holds you in his hands, and he loves you, and he doesn't forget you. He remembers you, and that he loves you, and he loves your baby that now he gets to take care of. And he takes way better care of that baby than we ever could have. So if I have to say one good thing about what's happened, I would say that now I have the strongest desire to be in heaven. I just want to be with my baby. And I just can't wait. I can't wait till I go to heaven. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you have any questions at all, you can leave them in the comments. You can private message me here on YouTube. You can direct message me on Instagram. You can email me on my blog. You can comment on my blog. You can read the posts on there. If you need somebody to pray for you, I'm always praying for you all the time. It may not feel like it, but someone's always praying for you. And there are just many different ways you can reach out. So I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.